I don't think anyone would disagree that during the World at War, Black Ops 1 and even the BO2 days, Call of Duty Zombies was more violent. It was more bloody and raw. And then all of a sudden at a certain point in time, it felt like things changed. For me, I would say Black Ops 3 and beyond that, COD Zombies felt like it had become censored, and it wasn't just me that was thinking this because other people were saying it on Twitter, YouTube. The big one that stands out in my mind is when Zombies Chronicles released on Black Ops 3, and when everybody played the Kino der Toten remaster for the first time, you noticed, well, there was one big noticeable difference. I mean, when you say that now, who really cares, right? It's just a small change. It's just a visual difference. It doesn't affect the gameplay. It doesn't really affect the storyline or the Easter eggs. Unless you want a super accurate portrayal of history, which 99.9% of people playing Call of Duty Zombies don't care about, then Treyarch making this change from the original Kino der Toten to the remastered version we got in BO3 is almost irrelevant. But I do have to say, going back to play the original World at War and Black Ops 1 maps, so Nacht, Verrückt, Shinonuma, but especially Der Riese and then on Black Ops 1, Kino der Toten, it is really those two maps, Der Riese and Kino, where you notice the censorship that went on. Like I said, to the majority of players, who cares? But clearly a lot of people did, because this was quite a big discussion when it first happened. People were wondering, well, why are Treyarch censoring Call of Duty Zombies? Why was having this shown in Zombies maps acceptable in 2008 and 2010, but it's not in 2017? What changed? Is it the developers themselves that changed, Treyarch and the publishers Activision, or is it us and the world? And since then, really, in every COD Zombies game that we've had since BO3, so BO4, Cold War, even other developers, Sledgehammer and World War II Zombies, especially that game taking place during World War II, you would expect to see the swastika. It is historically accurate. But ever since 2017, it's almost been like they want to tone Call of Duty as a whole down. And a lot of people say, again, even though to the majority, who cares? But for some people, it seems like it did, removing the swastika and replacing it with the Iron Cross. But that actually wasn't the first time that Treyarch censored zombies. I saw a video just a couple of weeks back, which reminded me of this because back in 2010 when BO1 was first released, the game was originally banned in Germany, and so was World at War. A censored version of the game was released later on, which toned down a bunch of things, and you'd be surprised how different the game actually was in Germany compared to the rest of the world. So just going over all of the things that were censored in the German version of World at War, well, apparently the first thing was zombies was removed totally, which, if this is true, I haven't played the German version of World at War myself. I've had a look on YouTube to see if I can see any German version of World at War Zombies uploaded, and I can't see any gameplay for it. So I can only assume this is true, that zombies in World at War was totally removed in Germany, which doesn't quite make sense to me when you learn about all of the other censorship that went on to do with the campaign and multiplayer. Surely if they could have censored those two modes, then they could have censored zombies as well. But for some reason, that mode was removed altogether from World at War. I do want to just focus on zombies in this video, but just quickly going over everything that was censored from the campaign and multiplayer in World at War, also because it's interesting to see how it compares to the censored version of Black Ops 1. But in World at War, they removed all of the Nazi symbols, which you would expect. That one isn't a surprise. Up until recently, where I think things changed slightly, swastikas are forbidden in Germany. They can only be shown in museums and certain art, but as far as video games go, and I think for movies as well, to a certain extent, any symbols like this are totally banned. This because, and I guess I'm not the best person to speak about this because I'm not German, but they have an institute called the FSK and I think the USK, which control media like games and movies, and they give them markings, so ages 3+, 12 to 16, 18, as you normally get. But the big difference is if the media in the game was too extreme, then that content would be banned altogether. Whereas in most countries, no matter how graphic something is, you can at least put an 18+ rating on there and then let the people decide whether they want to play it or not, knowing what's in it. But in Germany, it would be banned altogether. So even if you're over 18 years old, in some cases you're not allowed to even have games that contain too much gore. Never mind swastikas, which, as I mentioned, I can kind of understand, not wanting those symbols to be brought back up in your country. But when you learn of some of the other stuff that had to be censored from World at War, such as blood splatters, they were removed from the World at War version. If you do bayonet attacks on people, the amount of blood that was shown from that was reduced. Killing enemies wouldn't cause blood splatters on walls or the floor. Body parts couldn't be separated, so you couldn't shoot off limbs. Enemies couldn't be set on fire. It's crazy to me when you learn about the amount of censorship in Germany. Surely an 18-year-old is old enough to see some blood splatters on a video game, but apparently not. However, all of those things were censored and World at War was eventually released in the country. But apparently Zombies was removed altogether, and on the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions, any trophies or achievements that related to the Zombies mode were region locked. I can't think why you go to the efforts of censoring the campaign in MP, but then not allow zombies. Surely you could just censor that as well. I know World at War Zombies was actually called Nazi Zombies, but you could just change the name. The maps, De Ries, take place in a German facility. There's a lot of references in that map. Nakter and Toten, Verrucht, Shinonuma, not as much. Maybe Zombies is more extreme than the campaign and multiplayer, but it's definitely not as realistic. So I can't get my head around why the mode was removed altogether. But for me, it gets even weirder when you come to the German version of Black Ops 1, where Zombies was actually allowed in this game, with, as you'd expect, a lot of censoring. One of the main ones being in Kino der Toten, just like we see on the remastered version in Zombies Chronicles. The flags with the swastikas was replaced with the Iron Cross, but also you couldn't shoot off the limbs of zombies, which is a total game changer. You couldn't create crawlers. How were German zombie players expected to mess around at the end of a round, keep a crawler, and then, I don't know, go buy a few perks, pack a bunch of weapons? How are you meant to do that on high rounds if you can't create crawlers? And then we come over to the version of the game for the rest of the world, where originally there was blood, guts, gore, symbols, and then in Zombies Chronicles in 2017, in the remastered version of Kino der Toten, we saw the flags replaced with the German Iron Cross instead. As I mentioned earlier on, World War II I think might have had even bigger censorship, but the question has been, since this happened, why? And the only answer I can think of is, still to this day, Treyarch have to censor the German version, and because, as I've just read out to you, it did have some quite big differences compared to everybody else's version, the only logical answer I have is just so they didn't have to make those changes to the German version, which would have taken time and a tiny bit of budget, but surely not that much, just so that everybody had the same version that worked and looked the same. We all now have a censored version of Call of Duty. I don't think Zombies now in BO3, 4, Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 3 is anywhere near as gory as it used to be in World at War and BO1. Those first two zombie games for me were not terrifying, that's exaggerating quite a bit, but scary compared to what it is now, and gore did have a role to play in that. Not just from shooting the zombies, but just looking around the map, you would see people hanging. Peter McCain and Shinonuma comes to mind, blood smeared all over the wall in writing and on the floor, which you wouldn't get in the German version. And then you look at zombies maps that we have now, and they don't quite have that same atmosphere. It does kind of feel like Zombies has been censored. Perhaps not to an extreme, but nowadays I very much doubt we would get the title Nazi Zombies like we did in World at War. It's just called Zombies. At the end of the day, is it a big issue? No, that's just my opinion. Is it a little bit cooler seeing swastikas in maps that are supposed to make you feel like you're in Germany during that time? But I think people got over it pretty quickly. I think there are a lot more important things that come into play when you're playing a Zombies map, more so how good it actually is. But aesthetics, atmosphere, visuals does have a role to play, that's undeniable. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.